We're talking this morning about religious instruction in schools, an ongoing issue, obviously, and we're prompted to today because the Reverend at Melbourne Grammar School wrote an article in the school newsletter, basically not believing ACCESS Ministries' claim that they don't seek to convert. And we hope to speak to the Reverend Ron Noon sometime this morning. But on the line, Sophie Aitken is a mother who complained to the Victorian Equal Opportunity Board about her child being discriminated against for not wanting to participate in religious classes, and it's been fast-tracked to VCAT in a small victory. Good morning, Sophie.
Good morning, Sally.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Can you just bring us up to date with what's happened with this decision and tell us why you were prompted to do it for the listeners that don't know?
Sure. Well, there's myself and two other parents that are involved in the action, and we're lucky to have holding red lip lawyers acting pro bono for us. So what we did was we argued that the current situation is discriminatory against parents who are not Christian. So my children, I opted them out of religious instruction, and they basically during that time have to sit either at the back of the classroom or in the corridor or waste time, basically. They're not
in the corridor?
Yes, one of my sons spent all of last year in the corridor during religious instruction because
Was he supervised?
Well, that's the difficulty for the schools. They really don't have enough places to put kids and to supervise them. So the same teacher was supervising him in the corridor and the religious instruction class in the classroom. So she's moving between the two.
So Denise Nichols' claim from ACCESS Ministries that there is always a teacher in the classroom every minute is not true in this case?
Well, no, so it was at times in the corridor.
Okay. And was he given anything specific to do in the corridor?
No, they're allowed to draw or read, and that's they're very clear that they're not to do other things. My older son asked if he could work on his school project during that time and was told that he wasn't allowed to. And that was really when I just thought, this is ridiculous. I'm sending my son to school to be told he's not allowed to work on his schoolwork because for fear that it might disadvantage the children in the Christian classes.
So you made your complaint?
That's right. Yes, so we took it to the Human Rights and Equal Opportunities Commission, and they've had a look at the evidence and now decided that there is a case to answer. So they've referred it to VCAT for hearing. So there'll be a directions hearing on the 6th of June, and then hopefully we'll have a date, certainly within the next 6 months.
So really, it has been fast-tracked, at least the initial hearing.
That's right, yes. We could have gone through a longer process of conciliation and gone before the Human Rights and Equal Opportunities Commission, but that would have been a lot lengthier, and it was felt that, given Martin Dixon's comments on the matter, that it was probably not worth going through that process. So,
And what would you hope to achieve out of this, not just for your son, because it's 6 months, you say, until it's even, probably going to be properly heard, but for other parents?
Yes. Well, look, the situation, I think, is really sad for children that are separated from their classmates. So I'm hoping that we can find a resolution that, firstly, that the current situation is discriminating against non-Christian children, and then find a solution that, what we've suggested, perhaps putting the religious instruction outside of school hours and making it an opt-in so that it'd be like any other activity that parents might choose for their children. They can do it after school and opt their children in. And that way, children are not being segregated from their classmates and forced to waste time while school's going on.
Of course, the argument, not just from ACCESS Ministries, but from many parents, religious and non-religious, is that good chaplaincy instruction and, teaching children ethics and morals and so on is a harmless or important thing in their education.
Yep.
Would you prefer your child to have any instruction non-religious in that area, or would you prefer to do it yourself?
Well, there's two different questions there. I think in terms of ethics, I certainly would welcome that, and I'd love to see a course of philosophy and ethics in primary schools, but I think it's something that should be taught by teachers. In terms of religious education as well, there is, I would have no problem with the children having a general religious education during school time if it was done in the classroom and taught by teachers. But the reality is that this is instruction in the Christian faith. They're taught that there is a God, that God made everything, that they can talk to God, and they're the sorts of things that I don't want my child exposed to.
Have you been contacted by other parents after your complaint became public?
Yes, we've had a lot of support. It's been very encouraging, and not just atheist parents, but parents from other faiths as well who feel that the current system isn't reflecting their needs. I think, but I'm not anti-religious, and I really respect people's rights to raise their children as they see fit, but I think it's something that should be done outside of the secular school system.
So your son, for the rest of this year, what will he do? Is he still really being put in the corridor?
No, not in the corridor this year. He goes into another class. So I've actually got 3 sons at the school. So there's been different arrangements over the years, and sometimes they were put into the computer room, but sometimes they're sent to another class or into the library. So the school just tries to find somewhere to put them, but not in the corridor this year, so that's good.
All right. Well, Sophie, obviously this is going to be ongoing, and we'll be watching very closely how this case tracks in VCAT, but we really appreciate you coming on the program and talking to us again.
Thank you.
That's Sophie Aitken, who is a parent who complained to the Victorian Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commission about her child being left in the corridor, and it's now been fast-tracked to VCAT.